Welcome, beloved chosen ones. Don't let the smooth skin fool you. This face, your face, has walked through betrayal, heartbreak, trauma, and transformation. It's seen fire, faced storms, survived silent wars, and somehow, instead of collapsing under the weight of it all, you came back glowing. Not just glowing, but radiating a light that can't be replicated, mimicked, or explained away by products or routines, because this isn't a glow-up. This is a God-up. You've entered a realm where biology and spirituality are having a divine conversation, where science tries to calculate what faith already confirmed. Your preservation isn't man-made. It's heaven-sealed. You are aging differently, not slower, but divinely. And that difference, it's disrupting everything the world believes about time, appearance, and beauty. Let's start with what everyone's been thinking but won't say out loud. Why do you look like you've been sipping from the well of eternity while others are visibly worn down by the same years? Why do people squint at you, trying to find evidence of struggle on your face and find none? Why does your peace unsettle them more than your presence? Because, chosen one, you are a living contradiction. The timeline they expected you to follow, you rejected it. The emotional erosion they predicted, you reversed it. According to science, the human skin renews itself every 27 days. And yet, there are people walking around with decades of unprocessed rage, unresolved grief, and emotional toxins sitting in their pores. You've been detoxing spiritually, forgiving deeply, releasing powerfully. That's why your skin isn't just smooth, it's sanctified. That's why your aura doesn't just feel calm, it feels consecrated. And let's not pretend this glow came easy. You paid a high price for it. While others were clinging to performance, you chose to heal in obscurity. While they were getting louder to feel seen, you were becoming softer so you could see yourself again. You sat in silence. You surrendered identities. You let go of timelines. And that decision didn't just protect your future, it preserved your face. You became lighter, not from running, but from releasing. You didn't just outlast storms. You learned how to become the sky above them. Now people are puzzled. They're staring at you like you're a glitch in their understanding of what aging looks like. But it's not your skincare routine that's baffling them. It's your spiritual regimen. You didn't just survive betrayal, you transmuted it. You didn't just live through stress, you starved it of your attention. And the reward? A youthfulness that cannot be replicated because it's not based in products. It's rooted in peace. So let me ask you, chosen one, how many times did you want to give up on the process? How many days did you feel like your silence was being mistaken for weakness? Your patience for passivity? Your healing journey for isolation? And yet here you are glowing not just in the mirror, but in the spirit. You walk into rooms and shift atmospheres, not because of the way you look, but because of the way you no longer carry what tried to destroy you. Psalm 34:5 says, "Those who look to him are radiant, their faces are never covered with shame." That's you. You look the way you do because you turned your face toward heaven, not toward approval. You walked through fire with your hands open. You didn't grip bitterness. You didn't hoard resentment. And now you wear peace on your skin like holy armor. This isn't about vanity. This is about victory. You didn't just preserve your skin, you protected your soul. You didn't just stay soft, you stayed sacred. And the reason your glow intimidates people is because it speaks louder than your words. It tells a story they weren't ready to hear. You thought I'd break, but I became one. And to every person who's ever mocked your silence, who underestimated your absence, who questioned your process. Your face is the answer. Your glow is the rebuttal. Your presence is the final word. So, buckle up, chosen one, because in this message, we're going to unpack the mystery that surrounds your presence. We're going to explore why people feel compelled to stare at you, why their math doesn't match your mirror, and why your glow isn't just aesthetic, it's prophetic. This isn't just about looking young, it's about carrying timelessness. This is about spiritual frequency, becoming biological reality, about what happens when heaven lays hands on your DNA and says, "You're not aging like them, you're aging like me." Before we go deeper, let me pause to say thank you. Thank you to every soul who has supported this message, this space, this calling. Your generosity through super thanks is felt, honored, and deeply appreciated. Whether you've donated or simply offered your presence and prayers, please know you are seen and you are valued. You don't need to give to belong here, but if you feel led, know that your support helps keep this light burning bright for others who need to hear it. And now, I want you to do something powerful. Drop 777 in the comments if this resonates with your journey. That number symbolizes spiritual completion, divine timing, and sacred transformation. Let it be your digital signature, a signal to the world that you are not walking this path alone, because we are building something sacred together, a space where healing is celebrated, not hidden, where glow doesn't mean glamour, it means grace, where aging doesn't mean decline, it means refinement. So welcome to this moment. Beloved, you've made it here, not by accident, but by divine design. And now the world is going to see what divine preservation really looks like. One wrinkle defying, soul anchored, light carrying, chosen, one at a time. Let's begin. God's chosen ones. Your looks and age are shocking them. You carry divine covering. Number 1. You've aged outside the time grid. Chosen one. Have you ever wondered why people are shocked when they find out your age? Why their faces twist into disbelief when you tell them the year you were born? Why they keep squinting, recalculating, trying to fit you into their version of time? It's because you have aged outside the time grid. You've outlived the expectations that the world silently projected onto you, and you did it without trying to prove anything. They look at you and try to do the math, based on what life should have done to you: stress, grief, pressure, heartbreak. You should look worn out. But instead, you carry a glow that seems to defy logic, and it bothers them because their formula doesn't work on you. Why? Because you've been living under a divine formula they can't access, while others have been aging under the weight of constant comparison. You've been resting under the wings of preservation. Psalm 91:1 reminds us, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty." You, chosen one, have been living in that shadow. And that shelter has not only protected your spirit, it has preserved your outer vessel. You don't look like what you've been through, because heaven has kept you from decaying under the world's conditions. Let me ask you this. How many times did you walk away from a situation that could have drained you for years? How often did God close a door that you cried over at the time, only to realize later that door was an exit from a disaster that would have aged your soul? That kind of divine interference is not random, it's calculated mercy. It's part of your supernatural timeline. You are not operating on their clock. You are walking on heaven's calendar. Ecclesiastes 3:11 declares, He has made everything beautiful in its time, not rushed, not delayed, but divine. Think about Keanu Reeves. Quiet, underrated, often underestimated. He's endured deep loss, grief, and public scrutiny. Yet his face remains peaceful, ageless, even. Why? Because he's not constantly exposing his soul to the world. He protects his peace. And that spiritual decision reflects in his physical form. The same is true for you. They can't calculate your age because they never saw the battles God shielded you from. They never saw the nights you cried in silence, the years you spent in solitude, healing, the divine reroutes that preserved your youth while others were aging in chaos. Isaiah 46:4 says, "Even to your old age and grey hairs I am He. I am He who will sustain you." God didn't just bless you, He sustained you. And that sustaining power affects more than your faith. It touches your body, your bones, your skin, your pace, your presence. You are not just youthful in appearance, you are vibrant in essence. Your eyes still shine with curiosity. Your laugh is still full. Your posture doesn't bend under bitterness. All of this is evidence that you were not wired for the world's rhythm. Take Angela Bassett as an example. At over 60, she radiates confidence, clarity, and a timeless beauty that is rarely seen. But that glow didn't come from products. It came from peace, discipline, and purpose. She once said, "Your spirit should define you more than your age." That's exactly what you carry, an ageless spirit anchored in truth. And when people try to box you into their understanding of time, they get frustrated. Because your existence exposes their illusion. How many of your peers look 10 years older because they stayed in toxic friendships, unforgiving patterns, and soul-draining routines? And how many times did you choose stillness instead of chaos, solitude instead of clout? These choices weren't glamorous, but they saved your youth. Proverbs 3:8 This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Obedience nourishes. Alignement préserve. You are living proof. Look at someone like Paul Rudd, often joked about for not aging. But behind the charm is a man who has quietly guarded his mental health, avoided tabloid madness, and stayed grounded. The principle here isn't fame, it's focus. You too have chosen focus. You have prioritized healing over hustle, rest over reaction, faith over frenzy. And that peace has slowed down the wear and tear the world expected to see on you when they stare at you now. It's not just because you look good, it's because you look different. You don't wear defeat on your skin. You don't wear regret in your expression. You walk as someone who has been lifted above the chaos. Job 33:25 says, "Then his flesh is renewed like a child's. It is restored as in the days of his youth." That's you, restored, revived, radiant. Do you know why some people try to provoke you now more than ever? Because they can't figure out how you've remained joyful after everything that was meant to destroy you. And nothing makes darkness angrier than a light it couldn't extinguish. Chosen one, you are that light. And your light has exposed something uncomfortable, that aging isn't just physical, it's spiritual. And while they aged through bitterness, you aged through grace. Number 2, your glow is spiritual cleanliness, not skincare. Chosen one, let's address something the world doesn't want to admit. Your glow has nothing to do with a beauty routine. It's not your moisturizer. It's not your collagen supplements. It's not even your genetics. What people are seeing in you is not skin deep, it's spirit deep. Your glow is the visible result of spiritual cleanliness. And that, more than anything, is what's confusing them. because you're not supposed to shine like this. Not after what you've lived through. Not after the betrayals, the heartbreaks, the trauma. But here you are, radiant. Let me ask you a bold question. When was the last time you saw someone truly glowing from within? Not performance, not pretense, not posturing, just pure, authentic, unfiltered peace. That's what you carry now. And it's a direct result of the choices you made to clean up your inner world. Psalm 24:4, -5 says, "The one who has clean hands and a pure heart, that person will receive blessing from the Lord." You have been blessed because you prioritized purity and not the fake, performative kind, the kind that cost you relationships, the kind that demanded isolation, the kind that required deep inner cleaning. Think of Michelle Obama. Her presence commands respect, not because of fashion or fame, but because of groundedness. Her radiance is spiritual. She once said, "Your story is what you have, what you will always have. It is something to own." You did the same. You owned your story. And in doing so, you washed away what others allowed to fester inside. Resentment, bitterness, envy. Those things age a person. But you shows light. Ephesians 5:27 tells us that Christ seeks to present us without stain or wrinkle, but holy and blameless. That's not about skin, it's about soul. You did the hard work most people avoid. You let go of old narratives. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You closed doors with grace, not with revenge. And every time you released someone from your spirit, you got lighter. That lightness turned into brightness. Let's talk about Malala Yousafzai. After being shot in the face for speaking up, she chose forgiveness, education, purpose. And now, her light is undeniable. She radiates clarity, resilience, and spiritual strength. The same strength flows through you, because you refused to stay in rooms where your soul shrank. That decision birthed your glow. Proverbs 15:13 declares, "A happy heart makes the face cheerful." Your glow isn't aesthetic, it's evidence of freedom, of inner work, of emotional clarity. You've walked away from counterfeit love, fake smiles, and heavy spiritual residue. And now your whole being testifies to what peace looks like. Princess Diana once said, "Only do what your heart tells you." And her humanitarian work, especially in her later years, reflected a heart purified by pain. You've had that same moment, that divine crossroads where you chose integrity over image, and that choice rewired your spirit. Isaiah 60:1 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." That's what they see in you, the glory. They think it's a glow-up, but it's really a glory rise. The consequence of alignment, the result of surrender, chosen one. Your skin isn't just healthy, it's holy, because you've scrubbed your soul from within. You've walked away from people who were committed to chaos. You've turned down temptations that would have contaminated your frequency. You've chosen consecration over corruption. And now your face, your tone, your presence all echo one thing: spiritual cleanliness is real. And no matter how many products they buy to look like you, they'll never be able to imitate the purity you fought for. Number 3, you didn't just heal, you rewired your entire cellular frequency. Chosen one. Healing wasn't a surface event for you. It wasn't about saying the right words or journaling once and moving on. You didn't settle for comfort. You dove into transformation. And the reason people can't quite put a finger on what makes you look so renewed is because your healing didn't stop at your emotions. It reached down to your very cells. You didn't just feel better, you became different. Have you ever noticed how some people go through decades of therapy, yet still carry the same heaviness in their eyes? It's because they treat healing like patchwork. But you, chosen one, dismantled the entire structure. You didn't slap on positive quotes. You went to war with the broken code running through your being. Psalm 147:3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." But you didn't just let God bind your wounds, you let Him rebuild your foundation. And now, your glow is not an illusion. It's evidence of cellular rebirth. Let me ask you, how many nights did you stay up praying through pain that didn't have a name? How many triggers did you identify, confront, and neutralize? How many emotional spirals did you reprogram so they wouldn't drag you back into darkness, while others recycled the same memories? You forged new ones. While they rehearsed old drama, you rewrote your inner dialogue. Think of someone like Demi Lovato. After years of public breakdowns and silent suffering, she began to confront the trauma at its root. Her healing wasn't linear, but the shift in her voice, her eyes, and her energy is undeniable. That's what you've done, except yours was behind the scenes, in silence, while no one clapped. But heaven saw it, and heaven responded. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You obeyed that command, not just mentally, but spiritually, biologically, energetically. You retrained your nervous system to stop preparing for war. You gave your body permission to rest, and in doing so, you reduced the wear and tear that stress causes most people over time. You're not just more peaceful now, you're physiologically reorganized. Your hormones are stable. Your immune system is less inflamed. Your face no longer reflects survival, it reflects sovereignty. People look at you and assume you were always this calm, always this clear. But what they don't know is that your radiance came from repeatedly choosing truth over trauma. Have you heard Oprah Winfrey talk about her childhood trauma and the spiritual rewiring she had to undergo to become who she is today? Her power is not just in her platform, it's in her healing. She says, "Turn your wounds into wisdom." You've done that too, and that wisdom now radiates through your skin, your voice, and your frequency. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles." Chosen one, you have soared not just in your spirit, but in your biology. And that's why people are shocked. You don't look like what you survived, because you're not carrying what you used to. You rewired your system from chaos to calm, from fear to faith, from scarcity to divine supply. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, why don't I feel as heavy anymore? Why don't I get triggered by the same things? Why does my face look lighter even when I'm not trying? It's because your cellular memory no longer sings the song of sorrow. You've rewritten the notes, and now, even your breath is a melody of peace. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison and emerged with dignity, radiance, and purpose. His freedom didn't begin when the gates opened, it began in the cell, when he chose inner liberation over bitterness. So did you. Your outer glow is merely reflecting an internal revolution. Philippians 1:6. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. The work began when you faced your pain, but the glow began when you stayed through the process. That process changed your posture, your presence, your pace. You don't walk like someone escaping anymore. You walk like someone becoming. They'll try to replicate your peace, but they can't mimic what was hard-earned through surrender. Your energy doesn't just vibe higher, it vibrates cleaner. Because your cellular frequency was realigned by divine hands, that kind of healing isn't trendy, it's sacred. Number 4, you're not aging, you're shedding Earth's programming. Chosen one, what they call aging. You've turned into awakening. You are not following the programmed deterioration that society has normalized. You are not carrying the weight of false identities. Instead of gathering burdens over the years, you've been releasing them. And what happens when someone lets go of lies, roles, and masks? They begin to look and feel lighter. Here's a question to sit with. How much of your exhaustion was ever truly yours? And how much came from carrying what others projected onto you? Expectations, labels, shame, silence. That kind of pressure stiffens your joints, weighs on your organs, and slows down your soul. But you refuse to carry it any longer. You laid it down, and in doing so, you reversed something the world calls inevitable, aging without joy. 2 Corinthians 3:17 reminds us, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. You found that freedom, and you started to release Earth's illusions. You stopped believing the lie that your worth is tied to youth. You stopped fearing birthdays. Instead, you started shedding the belief that success has a deadline, shedding the idea that beauty has an expiration date, shedding the shame of being misunderstood, mislabeled, and overlooked. Think of Jane Fonda at 86. She radiates conviction and spiritual clarity. She's spoken openly about how she redefined aging by letting go of perfectionism, embracing truth, and shedding shame. That's what you've done. You've stopped collecting accolades and started collecting authenticity. Isaías 43:18-19 declares, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Your renewal didn't begin in a mirror. It began in your soul, and now, every part of you is responding to that freedom. That softness in your face is not cosmetic, it's emotional release. That glow in your eyes isn't youthful fantasy, it's eternal alignment. Take Maya Angelou. She grew more radiant with each decade, not because she resisted aging, but because she embraced who she was becoming. She said, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." You've made peace with change. You've stopped fighting time and started evolving with it. John 8:32 says, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." You've learned that truth not only sets your soul free, it sets your appearance free. Your smile has softened. Your walk has slowed, but grown steadier. Your spirit is no longer scattered, it is centered. That's why people can't place your age. Because you're not on their timeline. You've exited the collective illusion of decline and entered divine refinement. Robin Wright, known for her quiet elegance, once said, "Aging is not about losing beauty, it's about rediscovering it." You've done just that. You didn't deny the years. You transformed within them. You peeled off shame, performance, fear, and anxiety, and what remained was someone ageless in spirit. Proverbs 16:31 affirms, "Grey hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained in the way of righteousness, whether you're grey or not." Chosen one. The splendor is visible. Because righteousness isn't about being perfect. It's about being aligned. And alignment is timeless. So next time someone says, "You don't look your age," don't just smile. Let them sit in their confusion. Because what they're really sensing is this: you are no longer a citizen of this world's aging system. You are shedding Earth's programming, and you are becoming more divine with every layer that falls away. Number 5. You have reversed what the world expected to destroy you. Chosen one, has it ever crossed your mind that your very existence is confusing to those who tried to break you? They saw the weight that was thrown on you. They watched the betrayal, the heartbreak, the abandonment, the injustice, and in their limited understanding, they assumed it would ruin you. Tell me, how does it feel knowing that their silent hope was your destruction, but God used it for your elevation? They didn't expect you to survive that storm, let alone glow afterward. But here you are, radiating joy where they predicted despair, standing firm where they expected you to fall apart. They can't make sense of it, can they? Because in their eyes, you should be bitter, hardened, a shell of yourself. And yet, your soul is soft. Your smile is real. Your peace is untouched. Why? Because you didn't just heal, you alchemized. You turned what was meant to bury you into the very foundation you're standing on now. Romans 8, 28 promises. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. You didn't just survive your pain, you partnered with heaven to reverse it. Have you ever thought about how many people were silently waiting for you to disappear, to become unrecognizable? Have you noticed the shock in their faces when they realize not only did you survive, but you've become more beautiful, more grounded, and more radiant than ever? They expected the trauma to deform you, but transformation preserved you. Look at someone like Tyler Perry, homeless, rejected, laughed at, yet now, one of the most successful creators of our generation. Why? Because he didn't stay in victimhood, he wrote his pain into purpose, just like you did. What if I told you that your glow is a testimony written in flesh, that every wrinkle they expected is missing because you didn't give bitterness a home? Isaiah 61:3 declares that God gives us a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning. That's exactly what happened to you. What was designed to burn you down became the heat that forged your purpose. And now, when they see you, they don't see the pain, they see the refinement. They see something eternal rising from what they thought was final. How many times did you feel like giving up? But something inside you whispered, "Keep going." How many nights did you cry and still wake up with the intention to be better? Not bitter. That inner decision, that silent strength, that's what reshaped your cellular blueprint. You didn't just make it through. You mutated into something stronger, something purer, something unstoppable. Take Bethany Hamilton, an athlete who lost her arm in a shark attack. Most would have quit. She returned to surfing stronger, fiercer, and more spiritually focused than before. That's what divine reversal looks like. And chosen one, that's what you've done in your own way. Psalm 30:11 says, "You turned my mourning into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy." Your very presence is joy clothed in flesh. You're not smiling to hide your pain. You're smiling because your scars have been sealed with purpose. They'll never admit it out loud. But some people are upset that you healed, because your healing removes their narrative. They can't pity you. They can't mock you. They can't use you as a cautionary tale, because you've rewritten the ending, and not just spiritually, visibly. It shows in your face, in your eyes, in the way you walk into a room. Remember Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years? He emerged, not bitter, but brilliant. His energy didn't carry the stain of injustice, it carried the strength of spiritual evolution. You've done the same. You took everything the world used to disfigure you and turned it into design. 2 Corinthians 4, 6 encourageus. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. But for you, chosen one, that inward renewal has leaked out into the external. You are literally aging backward in spirit, because while others absorbed pain, you processed it. While others replayed pain, you released it. So when they stare, let them, because they're not looking at someone who simply endured, they're looking at someone who transcended. And that kind of beauty, that kind of glow, it's not skin deep, it's so real. Number 6, you fasted from foolishness and it preserved you. Chosen one, do you realize that one of your greatest spiritual strategies wasn't just prayer or worship, it was refusal? Refusal to participate in foolishness, refusal to engage with chaos, refusal to give your energy to low vibrations. And that refusal has preserved you in ways most people will never understand. How many times did you walk away from a conversation that could have stolen your peace? How many invitations did you decline? Not because you were anti-social, but because your spirit knew that room wasn't clean. That kind of self-discipline doesn't just protect your emotions, it protects your body. Proverbs 4:23 warns us, Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. You guarded it, and now your glow is the reward. Look around. How many people look tired not from work, but from drama? They don't realize that spiritual clutter causes cellular exhaustion. You do. That's why you stepped back from circles that loved confusion. That's why you left group chats filled with gossip. That's why you stopped defending yourself to people addicted to misunderstanding you. Ever heard of Maya Rudolph? Quiet, consistent, and graceful. She doesn't chase the spotlight, and yet she shines. Why? Because she mines her own energy. That's you. You stopped broadcasting your boundaries, you just lived them. And while they aged from performing, you preserved yourself in stillness. James 3:16 says, For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. You discerned that early. You saw the energetic decay in people who thrive on envy, and you refused to breathe the same air. That choice made you lighter. How many fake friendships did you walk away from before they could corrode your joy? How many situations looked harmless on the outside, but drained your essence from within? Your intuition didn't just save your heart, it saved your skin, your cells, your peace. Consider actor Jeff Goldblum. His energy is quirky, magnetic, and ageless. But behind the scenes, he attributes his glow to one thing: I avoid chaos. That's a lifestyle. One you live every day. You don't attend every argument you're invited to. You don't correct every misperception. You let people think what they want, and that detachment has preserved your youth. Isaiah 30:15 says, In quietness and trust is your strength. That quietness, that's where your glow was born, in silence. While others screamed for attention, in restraint. While others chased relevance, in solitude. While others performed desperation. They think you're lucky, but luck had nothing to do with it. You fasted from the noise, and it rewired your nervous system. Your breath slowed, Your cortisol dropped, your jaw unclenched, your soul exhaled, and your skin, your eyes, your energy responded with radiance. Tyra Banks once said, "True beauty is in being okay with yourself. That's why your glow can't be mimicked. Because your peace isn't performative, it's cellular, it's spiritual, it's sustained." Psalm 34:5 tells us, "Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame." You fasted from what dimmed your light. You refused to normalize emotional poison. You detoxed spiritually, and the physical followed. So when they ask your secret, let them wonder. Because the truth is simple. You weren't avoiding life. You were preserving it. You weren't isolating from the world. You were insulating your light. And now, you carry a presence that can't be replicated because it was refined in wisdom, separation, and truth. Number 7. Your DNA responds to divine alignment. Chosen one. Has anyone ever looked at you and asked, "What's your secret?" Have you noticed the curiosity behind their compliments? The confusion behind their admiration? They're not just impressed by your youthfulness, they're trying to solve a mystery. But what they don't understand is that the answer isn't in what you use, it's in what you refused. It's in what you aligned with, your glow, your clarity, your peace. These aren't products of skincare. They are the consequence of spiritual obedience. Have you ever asked yourself, what would my body feel like if I stopped betraying my spirit? What if I lived in full truth? Not half-truths, just to keep people comfortable. The moment you stopped pretending to be someone you weren't and fully stepped into who God designed you to be, your entire biology shifted. Salm 139, 14 declares, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." But being wonderfully made isn't just about how God formed you, it's about how you treat that form once you know the truth. When you walk in purpose, you stop exhausting yourself with facades. And when the exhaustion lifts, the beauty emerges. You don't look light and free because life was easy. You look this way because you stopped resisting your divine path. You stopped saying yes when your spirit said no. You stopped forcing yourself into rooms that rejected your essence. And what happened when you finally stepped into alignment? Your body responded. Your nervous system calmed down. Your breath got deeper. Your posture relaxed. Your skin stopped absorbing stress. You began to look the way freedom feels. Consider Viola Davis, a woman who speaks often about her journey to finding her identity, her purpose, her voice. She didn't chase youth. She embraced truth. Her presence now radiates authority, elegance, and peace. That's the power of alignment. Romans 8:6 says, "The mind governed by the flesh is death, but the mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace." When your decisions are led by Spirit, you shift from surviving to thriving. Your DNA is literally bathed in divine peace, and peace rewires everything. Ask yourself, how many of your past health issues were symptoms of inner conflict? How often did you feel exhausted not from work, but from resisting who you really are? When you finally chose truth, didn't the headaches fade? Didn't your sleep deepen? Didn't your appetite regulate? That's not a coincidence. That's cellular intelligence. Let's look at Iyanla Vanzant. After a life filled with emotional wounds, she aligned her life with spiritual truth, and you can see it in her face. Her glow is not youthful in a superficial way. It is eternal. It reflects a woman who stopped resisting the flow of divine will. Proverbs 3:7 tells us, "Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body, and nourishment to your bones. When you honor divine direction, the body responds like a child finally being held. It stops bracing. It stops fighting. It heals. And so, chosen one, your youthfulness is not random. It is the visible result of inner order. Your cells are now vibrating at the frequency of truth. You stopped lying to yourself. You stopped compromising for people who never deserved you. You stopped shrinking to fit in. Malcolm X once said, "When I is replaced with we, even illness becomes wellness." You made that shift from individual striving to divine surrender. You stepped into we with God, and now your very DNA is resting in that trust. Isaías 58:11 declares, "The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail." That's your biology now, a well-watered system, no longer living off spiritual drought. So when people stare at your skin, your peace, your posture, know this: they are seeing the visible evidence of invisible obedience. You didn't fake wellness. You became it. And your DNA, every cell, every organ, every heartbeat is testifying, "I am aligned." Oh, number 8. You mastered emotional regulation in a world addicted to reaction. Chosen one, do you realize how radical your calmness is? In a world where outrage is monetized, chaos is contagious, and overreaction is rewarded, your peace is a rebellion. You are living proof that emotional regulation is not weakness, it is power. And that power shows up not just in your decisions, but in your body. Let's ask this honestly. When was the last time you let someone's chaos become your crisis? You used to react, didn't you? You used to defend yourself, over-explain, match energies. And what did it get you? Fatigue, tight shoulders, stress breakouts. But something shifted. You stopped absorbing noise. You started observing it. Proverbs 29:11 says, "Fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end." You became wise, and that wisdom started preserving your beauty. While others aged from arguments, you aged from awareness. Look at someone like Michelle Yeoh, her calm elegance, even under pressure, radiates timelessness. She doesn't have to fight for attention. She walks in presence. That's you now. You don't waste energy on chaos, and your body has thanked you for it. Can I ask you something personal? How many fights did you walk away from, not because you were scared, but because you were finally healed enough to not need to win? That restraint is divine. That self-control is sacred, and it is shaping your face, your tone, your energy. Psalm 34:14 urges, "Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it." Peace isn't passive. You pursued it. You trained yourself to pause when everything in you wanted to lash out. You breathed through triggers. You practiced silence when provoked. And now, your glow is what emotional sobriety looks like. Let's take Zendaya as an example. Young, famous, yet profoundly composed. She avoids online drama, speaks with grace, and moves with poise. That emotional balance radiates through her face, and it's part of why she looks as grounded as she does. Matthew 5:9 says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." You, chosen one, are a peacemaker, not because the world is peaceful, but because you brought peace into a war zone. You stopped performing for people who wouldn't change. You stopped correcting people who didn't care. You stopped wasting your beauty on emotional chaos. And now, your face is softer, your eyes are clearer, your aura is quieter but stronger. You mastered emotional regulation, and it literally recalibrated your body. Think about Denzel Washington, decades in the spotlight, yet never consumed by it. He once said, "I don't worry about what people say about me. I do what God tells me to do." That is the fruit of spiritual emotional mastery. You don't react to noise. You respond to purpose. Philippians 4, 6, 7 promise. Do not be anxious about anything, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. That peace is guarding your face, your nervous system, your energy field. It's divine skincare from the inside out. Let me ask you again, how many years have been added to your life simply because you chose peace over pride? How many wrinkles have been erased by silence instead of shouting? You didn't harden to survive, you softened to master. And your body now exists in a different rhythm, regulated, responsive, restored. You're not cold, you're clear. You're not numb, you're navigated by spirit, and that navigation has protected your glow. So, when people assume it's genes or magic, smile, because what they're seeing is the result of daily discipline, constant surrender, and the quiet power of emotional regulation. Number 9. You're carrying ancient light in a modern body. Chosen one. Have you ever felt like you don't quite fit the time you were born into? That somehow your spirit moves at a rhythm older than your body? That when people look at you, they're not just seeing a person, they're sensing a presence? That's because you're carrying something rare, something ancient, something divine. What if I told you that the glow others see on your face is not just physical radiance, it's sacred memory? That the calm in your eyes, the depth in your silence, the strength in your stillness, all of it speaks to something that existed long before this lifetime. You were not sent here empty. You didn't arrive on earth with a blank slate. You came encoded with light that predates history, with wisdom that transcends language, and with spiritual technology buried deep inside your soul. Job 12:12 says, "Is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding? And yet, in you." That wisdom exists now at any age because it is not tied to years. It is tied to your calling. You see, chosen one, while others are chasing youth, you are radiating eternity. Your beauty isn't skin deep, it's soul deep. That's why you confuse people. They think you're simply aging well. But what they're actually witnessing is ancient light animating your modern vessel, and that light cannot be explained by science or skincare. Have you noticed how some treat you differently even as a child? They saw something they couldn't name. You weren't louder. You weren't demanding attention. But your presence altered the room. That wasn't coincidence. That was divine frequency. You were sent here as a portal, a carrier of divine codes. Jeremiah 1:5 confirms. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. And that apartness, that's what they're seeing. Think of someone like Morgan Freeman. There's something ancient in his voice, his tone, his presence, even his silence. It's as if he's carrying the wisdom of 1,000 stories. But that's not just talent, it's vibration. And you, too, walk with that kind of timeless vibration. Let me ask you, have you ever felt tired for no reason, or deeply peaceful, even in the middle of chaos? That's your soul speaking. That's what happens when ancient memory sits inside a modern frame. You are a reminder in flesh form, a bridge between realms, a whisper from God to this world. I have not forgotten. I still send light in the dark. Anclu, Isaías 60, 1 de Claris. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. You don't just shine, you glow from a memory you never consciously learned, and that glow makes you untouchable by the world's definition of age. Look at Tilda Swinton. Her beauty defies time. Her roles often mirror otherworldly beings because she carries an energy that doesn't quite belong to any one era. That's the same reason people look twice at you. They're not just admiring your features, they're responding to your frequency. You move differently, don't you? You don't rush like the world does. You don't need the noise. You are still because you remember. You don't remember with your mind, but with your spirit, and that remembrance keeps your nervous system calm. Your skin youthful, your eyes clear. Ecclesiastes 3:11 reminds us. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, He has put eternity in their hearts. That eternity is what you carry, and it's not a metaphor, it's a vibration. You are a vessel for divine timing, and your body is preserving that assignment by reflecting heaven's rhythm, not earth's. Let's reflect on Bob Marley. His music wasn't just heard, it was felt. It carried memory, vibration, revolution, redemption. He was young in age, but ancient in soul. His impact was timeless because his message came from beyond. Chosen one. Your beauty is disorienting because it carries truth. Your stillness is unsettling because it pierces through illusion. Your calm presence in a chaotic world reveals how out of sync most people are, and that makes them uncomfortable. But that discomfort, it's not your burden. It's your calling. Psalm 90:12 says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." You already live as if your days are sacred, and that sacredness protects you from premature aging, from worldly decay, from internal erosion. You are not aging like them because you were not sent like them. You are timeless, and your very existence is the evidence. Number 10, you don't chase trends. You embody timelessness. Chosen one. How many times have you watched people reinvent themselves for attention, change their looks, switch their values, compromise their identity, all for the fleeting high of validation? And yet, there you stand, rooted, unmoved, authentic, silent but undeniable. While others chase relevance, you radiate resonance. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, why do people seem magnetically drawn to me even when I'm not trying? Why do my words linger longer? My presence stay with them after I leave? It's because you don't come with noise, you come with substance. Romans 12, comment. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's what you've done. You never needed to trend, because you were too busy being transformed, and transformation real. Soul-aligned transformation is always in style. Think about Janelle Monáe, never chasing the mainstream, yet always unforgettable. Her artistry is rooted in something internal. That's what makes her timeless. The same is true for you. People may not always understand you, but they remember you. Because while others dissolve into trends, you distill into truth. Let's be honest, how many people are aging themselves trying to stay in, chasing approval, matching the algorithm, competing for attention? They exhaust their mind, their body, their peace, all for moments of applause that vanish the next week. But you age in stillness, in alignment, in clarity. And that preservation shows. Proverbs 31-25 describes a woman of divine character as one who is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. That's your spiritual wardrobe. Not fashion, not filters, but fortitude. Your refusal to chase trends isn't rebellion, it's revelation. It reveals that you know who you are. And when someone knows who they are, they don't age under pressure, they rise above it. The world is loud. You are quiet. But in your silence, you've become a force. Let me ask, how many people have come to you after years of dismissing your way of life, only to say, you were right, you didn't chase status, but now your wisdom is sought, you didn't pursue approval, but now your presence is missed. Why? Because trends fade, but truth finds its way. Eclesiastes 7:8 says, the end of a matter is better than its beginning, and patience is better than pride. You've played the long game, and now, while others are constantly reinventing, you are refining. That refinement gives you youth that no cosmetic can copy. Think about Daniel Day-Lewis, a man who refuses interviews, avoids the spotlight, yet is hailed as one of the greatest actors alive. Why? Because he lives in his lane, and that lane is not crowded, neither is yours. Isaiah 26:3 affirms, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast. Because they trust in you, your mind is steadfast. That steadiness slows down your biological clock. You're not battling to be seen. You're rooted in being sent. Look at Jung, the Korean actress who gained international acclaim in her 72nd. She never chased global fame, but when the time was right, the world came to her. That's what happens to timeless ones. They're not rushed. They're revealed. Psalm 1-3 describes the righteous as a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season and whose leaf does not wither. That's you, planted, nourished, evergreen. You don't just look good for your age. You are carrying the fragrance of eternity. So, chosen one, never apologize for not fitting into this season's look, tone, or trend. You weren't created to rotate, you were created to root. You weren't designed to match the moment, you were born to outlast it. And that is why you glow with peace while the world spins in panic. You are not trying to be timeless. You are. Number 11. You look like that because you let go. Chosen one. Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt lighter, not because you lost weight, but because you finally dropped what was never yours to carry? That softness in your face, that glow in your eyes, that stillness in your presence, it's not a mystery. It's a map of release, of letting go. You look like that because you refuse to keep dragging around emotional corpses. While others are building their personalities on unhealed pain, you chose to bury what was killing you inside. What would happen to their lives if they did the same? Could they even imagine life without the drama, the comparison, the unresolved grief they've fused with their identity? Isaiah 43:18 reminds us, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. You obeyed that not because forgetting was easy, but because freedom required it. You made peace with not getting apologies. You forgave people who never changed. You dropped the need to prove yourself. And as you let go, your body followed. Your posture changed. Your breath deepened. Your beauty returned, not because of products, but because of peace. Think of someone like Michelle Obama. Hair grace, composure, and glow are not the result of image obsession. They come from alignment, forgiveness, and purpose. In interviews, she's talked about how freeing herself from other people's expectations gave her back her sanity and her radiance. That's the path you took. You let go of performance, and in doing so, you reclaimed yourself. Can we be honest? Most people don't want to let go. They would rather age with their grudges than feel the vulnerability of release. But what they don't realize is that emotional weight has a physical cost. Bitterness shows up in wrinkles. Resentment ages the voice. Suppressed anger stiffens the body. You see it all around you. People carrying emotional burdens like fashion statements. But you chose differently. Ephésiens 4:31-32 Urjus. Get rid of all bitterness. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other. You didn't just read those words, you embodied them, and your body responded. You didn't need Botox. You needed surrender. Think about Princess Diana in her later years, as she began healing and walking away from the toxic systems that surrounded her. Her glow intensified. Her face softened. Her energy changed. She didn't just look beautiful, she looked liberated. And liberation is what your presence now carries. So, what's aging you right now? Is it truly time? Or is it unspoken anger? Is it the pressure to hold up an image that doesn't fit you anymore? What would you look like if you released the old version of yourself? Would your jaw unclench? Would your skin clear? Would your eyes soften again? Psalm 55:22 says, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you." You cast it. You didn't just pray once. You dropped it again and again. Every time it tried to sneak back in, you released the memories, the comparisons, the need to explain yourself, and that release made room for radiance. Think of actor Jeff Bridges, known not just for his career, but for his spiritual peace and acceptance of aging. He once said, "The deeper you go, the more you find stillness. That stillness is what you carry now. You've chosen stillness, and stillness preserves you." Forgiveness became your anti-aging tool. Emotional uncluttering became your fountain of youth. Letting go wasn't weakness, it was surgery. And now, when people say, "You don't look your age," what they're really saying is, "I see your peace, and it's radiant." Unquote. Colossiens 3:13 comment. Forgive as the Lord forgave you, and when you did that, your spirit exhaled, and your face followed. So, chosen one, wear that glow unapologetically, because it came at the cost of inner war, and not everyone is willing to make peace. Number 12. You're not preserved, you're purified. Chosen one. Let's make this clear. You're not youthful because you were preserved. You're radiant because you were purified. There's a difference. Preservation tries to keep things untouched, unbothered, unchanged. But you were not sheltered from pain. You were shattered by it, and yet remade, refined. You were not spared the fire. You were transformed by it. Zechariah 13:9 says, "I will refine them like silver and test them like gold." That's your story. Every betrayal burned away what was fake. Every season of isolation stripped off what was shallow. Every heartbreak became holy fire. You didn't stay the same. You surrendered to change. And that surrender didn't break you. It baptized you. You've been purified, not packaged. You're not hiding behind a polished persona. You walk in the raw, refined light of someone who no longer has anything to prove. That kind of energy unsettles people, doesn't it? Because it's not performative. It's pure. And in a world addicted to artificiality, purity is both magnetic and intimidating. Think of Viola Davis. When she speaks, There's a depth that demands silence. You can feel the fire she's walked through. Her beauty is not airbrushed, it's anchored. And that's exactly the type of presence you now carry. Your beauty doesn't ask for attention. It commands respect. 1 Peter 1-7 reminds us. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. You didn't run from your trials. You allowed yourself to be tested. And your glow is now the visible mark of spiritual authenticity. Let me ask you, how many layers did you have to shed just to breathe again? How many identities did you have to release that were never really yours? How many nights did you grieve a version of yourself that was just surviving? You weren't preserved like a precious object behind glass. You were purified like a warrior. Every scar turned to softness. Every lesson etched itself into your walk. You're not smooth because life was gentle. You're smooth because God removed what no longer served you. Take Maya Angelou. She didn't arrive on the global stage untouched. She arrived seasoned. Her words came with soul. Her energy carried fire and forgiveness in the same breath, and that's what makes her eternal. You've begun to carry that same paradox. Grace with grit, light born from pain. John 15:2 says, "Every branch that bears fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful." Your pruning was not punishment, it was preparation. And now your life bears fruit, peace, wisdom, and undeniable presence. People keep asking what your secret is, but what they don't want to hear is the truth. Your secret was purification, the kind that came with tears, silence, obedience, and letting go of everything fake. You didn't cling, you cleansed, and now what remains is real. Look at Lady Gaga. Behind the glamour is a woman who's talked openly about PTSD, grief, and radical healing. Her glow now is different. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't dazzle, it grounds. Because purification always produced depth. Psalm 66:10 says, "For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver." You've been through the fire, but you didn't come out burned. You came out brilliant. So, chosen one, don't diminish the weight of your process. You didn't just get here. You became this. You don't glow because life spared you. You glow because you said yes to the refining. You are not preserved like something fragile. You are purified like something fierce. And that glow on your face, that stillness in your soul, that's what truth looks like after the fire. Number 13. You aged in the wilderness, not the world. Chosen one. Have you ever stopped to wonder why your glow doesn't match your timeline? Why? After everything you've been through, your eyes still carry light and not exhaustion. Why your energy feels fresh, not frantic, gentle, but not fragile. It's because you didn't age where most people age. You aged in the wilderness, not the world. You didn't grow under the spotlight. You grew under shadows cast by divine design, while others were aging in the marketplace of public opinion, constantly exposed, compared, and consumed. You were tucked away, hidden, but not forgotten. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. Exodus 32. So God led the people around by the desert road toward the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of Egypt, ready for battle. Like them, your wilderness wasn't a delay, it was a strategy. While others were performing for visibility, you were being groomed for vision. And vision ages you in discernment, not deterioration. Do you remember those years of silence? The seasons where no one called, where no doors opened, where no one saw your worth? Those weren't wasted years. That was wilderness training. While others aged from striving, you aged from stillness. And that stillness made you strong. Look at someone like Nelson Mandela. While others were rising in politics through media and movements, he was in a prison cell. But it was in that hidden place that his spirit matured. His face aged slowly, but his mind aged deeply. When he emerged, he wasn't just older, he was wiser. That's what's happened to you. Salm 91, uno declares, "Whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." You've lived in that shadow. While others basked in artificial light, you were covered by divine protection. The spotlight didn't age you because it never touched you. And now that you are seen, you are ready. How many people do you know who spent their prime performing, hustling for validation, needing applause just to breathe? And now, you look at them and the years have drained them, because the world aged them before their soul matured. But you, chosen one, you were aged in consecration. Think of Jodie Foster, famous from childhood, but disappeared intentionally from Hollywood's chaos for long seasons. She once said, "Silence and solitude are where I recover and remember who I am." She aged in private. She returned sharper, stronger, and so have you. When you were hidden, you weren't inactive. You were healing in places no one could see. You were shedding the old, unlearning the lies, making peace with your process. And that peace became your anti-aging miracle. That peace preserved your nervous system, your skin, your soul. Isaiah 30:15 speaks a powerful truth. In quietness and trust is your strength. The quiet aged you differently. It didn't wrinkle your forehead. It deepened your discernment. It didn't sink your eyes. It sharpened your vision. While they were shouting to be noticed, you were being carved in silence by the hands of God. Can I ask you, how many times did you feel behind while watching others succeed? Did you ever resent your season of obscurity? Did you wonder why you were hidden so long? But now, don't you see it? That hiddenness wasn't punishment. It was preservation. Think about André Tramiel, one of the greatest musical minds of his time, but he vanished from the public scene. No explanation. No drama. Years later, he re-emerged, walking through cities, playing a flute. At peace. Why? Because he aged on his terms, not the world's. You've done the same. Proverbs 17:27 says, "The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered." That's what the wilderness taught you. How to restrain, how to rest, how to stop explaining. You learn to be content without an audience, and that kind of self-containment is rare. You see, wilderness, aging doesn't happen by calendar, it happens by character. Your face didn't harden because your heart didn't. Your back didn't bend because your spirit stayed upright. You weren't absorbing toxins from culture, you were detoxing in solitude. Think of Denzel Washington. He doesn't chase roles. He doesn't promote nonsense. He speaks with clarity, lives with conviction, and lets his presence do the talking. That level of restraint comes from spiritual refinement, not stage performance. Deuteronomy 8:2 reminds us, "Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness, to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart." That test wasn't to destroy you, it was to purify you. And the reward, a glow that comes from peace, not polish. How is it that you look younger now than you did 5 years ago? Could it be that while they were aging from exposure, you were aging from encounter? That every day you spent in the wilderness, God was pouring restoration into your cells, your breath, your soul. That glow you carry isn't fabricated. It's a side effect of divine filtration. Every offense filtered, every ego layer stripped, every craving for validation dissolved, and what was left, you raw, real, radiant. Look at actor Ke Huy Quan. After disappearing from Hollywood for decades, he returned to the screen, not aged by bitterness, but softened by gratitude. His joy felt fresh. His presence felt eternal. That's what happens when the wilderness prepares you instead of the world performing you. So, when people say, "You don't look your age," don't just thank them, bless them. Because what they're really witnessing is a testimony. You aged in a temple, not in a trend. You matured in mystery, not in marketing. Isaiah 40:31 says it best, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength." You waited, and now your strength is renewed, not just spiritually, but physically. Chosen one. Don't downplay the price of your peace. Don't apologize for the calm that confuses people. You've been through deserts most people couldn't survive, and you came out not dusty, but divine, not cracked, but crowned, not weathered, but woven in wonder. You didn't age in the spotlight. You aged in the secret place. And now, your presence carries proof. God hides what he is preparing to glorify. Number 14. You're a living rejection of the Matrix timeline. Chosen one. Have you ever noticed the subtle discomfort on people's faces when they realize you're not aging like everyone else? It's not jealousy at first, it's confusion. You don't fit the timeline they were taught to follow. You're not burnt out by 40. You're not bitter by 50. You're not quietly fading into frustration like they expected. In fact, every year you seem more radiant, more grounded, more alive, and it shakes them to their core. But let's call it what it is. You are a living rejection of the Matrix timeline. You are not playing by the same script the world handed out to everyone else. You didn't subscribe to the aging agenda that says youth is a peak and everything after is a slow decline. Instead, you chose to live in alignment with the truth of who you are, and that truth refuses to be timed by fear. Romans 12, 2 comment. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You didn't just read that verse, you lived it. While society demanded speed, you chose stillness. While the culture pushed hustle, you embraced healing. And that decision has rewritten your entire appearance. How many people around you are aging, not because of time, but because of pressure, deadlines, roles, comparisons, a constant loop of proving, performing, pretending. It eats away at their spirit. Then it shows up in their body. You chose a different route. You chose authenticity over approval. And now, your energy feels timeless because it was never built on trends. Think of Pharrell Williams' Ageless, Serene, and often asked about the secret to his youthful appearance. His response, peace, purpose, no panits. That's not skincare, that's soul alignment. Just like yours. Salm 92, 2:14 declares, "The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green." That's you, flourishing while others are fading, not because of denial, but because of divine rhythm. You don't race against time, you flow in purpose. When they look at you, they expect to see the erosion of hardship. They expect the scars of regret, the exhaustion of societal weight. but instead, they see light, strength, a kind of glow that feels more like peace than polish, and that unsettles them. Why? Because it contradicts everything they were told to expect about life after 30. Susha. Wusha. Let's be honest, how many milestones did you intentionally walk away from? Jobs that looked impressive but drained your soul. Relationships that were socially acceptable but spiritually suffocating. Lifestyles that would have looked good on Instagram but led to inner death. You didn't reject success, you redefined it. Look at Keanu Reeves, one of the most revered actors today. Not because he flaunts his wealth or bends to Hollywood, but because he radiates humility and peace. He walks outside the system, and his glow, it's earned through simplicity and wisdom. That's what you now carry. Eclesiastes 7:8 says, "The end of a matter is better than its beginning, and patience is better than pride," while others chased relevance. You cultivated reverence, and that reverence kept you young, not just in body, but in frequency. Let me ask you again, what's truly aging people today? Is it really years, or is it the weight of fake smiles, forced ambition, and living a life that doesn't belong to them? You let go of all that. You surrendered your timeline to something sacred, and your surrender became your survival. Think of Angela Bassett, glowing, regal, centered. She's spoken often about honoring what feels right, not what looks trendy. That wisdom preserves. That kind of beauty doesn't expire, it expands. 2 Corinthians 4:16 offers this reminder. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. The world calls that a paradox, but for the chosen, it's a promise. You are being renewed daily, not by resisting age, but by embracing truth. You didn't just rebel against the world, you returned to yourself. You stopped fighting your becoming. You stopped resisting rest. You stopped forcing what wasn't aligned. And in doing so, you stepped out of the Matrix's timeline and into heaven's one. Malala Yousafzai, young, but her presence is old. You can feel the centuries of wisdom behind her eyes. And even as she ages in years, her voice becomes more powerful, her glow more pure, because she's not being aged by fear. She's being refined by calling, just like you. Proverbs 4:18 says, "The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day." That's why you confuse them. Your light is not dimming, it's intensifying. So, chosen one, let them stare. Let them scroll through your photos, trying to figure out the algorithm that governs your glow. They won't find it, because it's not from this world. Your presence is prophetic. You are not just a beautiful anomaly, you are a spiritual contradiction to everything the Matrix told them was inevitable. You weren't supposed to make it this far with your joy intact. You weren't supposed to walk through betrayal, heartbreak, rejection, loss and still come out glowing. But here you are, and that glow, it's not defiance, it's divine confirmation. Look at Rick Rubin, music legend, minimalist, deep thinker. He lives outside all trends, and yet his impact continues to shape every generation. That's the energy you now move in, quiet but seismic, ancient but fresh, humble but revolutionary. John 8:32 says, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And that freedom is now showing on your skin, in your walk, in your silence. You've been set free from the world's timeline, and your face bears the signature of that freedom. You are not aging like them, because you are not becoming them. You are shedding what they're still clinging to. You are living in agreement with your Creator, not in competition with creation. And that harmony rewrites your very biology. So when they ask you, "What's your secret?" smile, because the answer is in your silence. The answer is in the surrender they never chose. The glow they see, it's the reward for every room you left, every pressure you rejected, every timeline you refused to obey. You don't need to explain it. You are the explanation, a living contradiction, a timeline disruptor, a mirror that says, yes, it's possible. Yes, you can be free. Yes, you can age in grace, not in grind. Once, you are not from this system. You were sent to expose it. And your glow, that's what freedom looks like when the matrix loses and the mission wins. Beloved, chosen one, if you've walked with this message from beginning to end, then you know by now your glow is not an accident. Your energy is not temporary. Your clarity is not luck. Everything that radiates from you today is the result of deep, honest, sometimes painful, but always sacred inner work. You are not here by chance. You are here as proof that healing is possible. Alignment is powerful, and aging on heaven's timeline is a divine gift, not a worldly race. You didn't just make it through, God transformed you along the way. You shed the timelines, the pressures, the noise, and the false narratives, and in return, God clothed you in peace. You aged in grace, not in grind. You evolved in silence, not in spectacle. And now, every step you take carries the fragrance of freedom. That freedom, chosen one, is visible. It's what causes others to look at you and wonder, how do they glow like that? They don't yet understand that your glow is a reflection of release. You didn't chase beauty. You chose truth, and truth has preserved you in a way no trend ever could. So now, as we close this 14-part journey of revelation and release, I want you to know how much it means to me that you stayed, that you listened, that you allowed these words to reach into the deep places, whether this message found you in your fire or in your freedom, whether it met you while you were still shedding or already glowing. You were meant to be here. There is no audience like the chosen ones, because you don't just watch, you resonate. I want to take a sacred moment to say thank you, truly. Thank you for being here, for walking this path with open eyes and an open spirit, for showing up, not just for me, but for yourself. If this message has touched you, strengthened you, or reminded you of who you truly are beneath the world's expectations, then I ask you from the heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share this message with someone who carries that same divine energy, but maybe doesn't know how to name it yet. Let this be the mirror that shows them their light, their process, their freedom. Let's not just be receivers of this glow, let's be amplifiers of it. And if this word has blessed you and you feel led to support its expansion, I humbly invite you to use the Super Thanks feature, whether it's a donation or simply a word of encouragement in the comments. Know this, your presence matters more than anything you could give. I am deeply grateful for every person who contributes, prays, shares, or simply sits silently and soaks in the truth. Your energy is felt, your love is seen, your support, whether financial or spiritual, is powerful, and I thank you with my whole heart. This space is not just a channel or a message, it's a home, a tribe, a spiritual family where authenticity is not rare, but required. where stillness is strength, where boundaries are beauty, where growth is celebrated and timelines are surrendered. We are building something timeless together, and your presence here confirms that you were never meant to walk alone. So, as we part from this final message, let me leave you with this blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you in perfect peace. May He continue to renew your strength like the eagle and guard your heart from the noise of the world. May your body reflect the freedom of your spirit, and may your spirit remain soft, wise, and rooted in divine purpose. May every wrinkle you don't have and every sparkle in your eye be a reminder to the world: God's timing cannot be rushed, and His chosen ones cannot be explained. You are not here to meet the world's expectations. You are here to reveal heaven's standard. And every day you wake up in your light. You shake the systems that tried to shape you. You don't owe the world an explanation. You are the explanation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being real. Thank you for being radiant. God bless you. Chosen one, always.